Rabbit Hole Roundup, episode 46. Is this what B.o.B meant by strange clouds?
All you see is strange clouds. Strange clouds.
So guys, in today's edition of the Rabbit Hole Roundup, I'm going to be talking about all these strange cloud formations that many of us are starting to notice, and I'm going to have to do so in a way that doesn't actually mention the words, but I hope that by now we all know what I'm talking about here. But remember, any type of weather changing is totally made up, and nothing man-made could ever do that. So remember. I'm also going to be talking about why pro sports are actually very powerful and have the capacity to bring people together, where they could also be part of the whole breads and circuses. But I want to talk about why, as a truther, I actually still like talking about pro sports on this channel, and why I think that if we use them properly, they actually don't have to be these breads and circuses. They can actually be more like desserts.
You're crazy.
Am I? Or am I so sane that you just blew your mind?
You guys definitely want to hear that theory. I'm also going to be discussing an article I saw the other day connecting Alzheimer's to gut health, which I've known about for a while now, but I'm going to be talking about why our gut health is actually so pivotal in all of our overall healths as well. I'm also going to be showing you guys a video from that same teacher who I referenced in one of my previous videos, and showing why a teacher like this actually restores my faith in humanity, and why this is actually so powerful for all of us. So without further ado, let's dive deeper into this video now. I have all that and more. Dun dun dun. Rabbit hole time, let's go.
This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
What's happening, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Jared Weiss. If you guys didn't know that, must be not subscribe to the channel so you know what to do. Hit the subscribe button, be sure to leave a like, drop a comment, let me know your thoughts on this video. Follow me on every platform, and if you guys haven't done so already, make sure to check out my book, Fight Through by Jared Weiss. All links to purchase it are on my website, which is jaredryanweiss.com. That's JaredRyanWeiss.com. Buy the book, help me, support me, because doing that will actually allow me to keep producing all this awesome content for you guys. So as far as I see it, it's a win-win, because I'm not saying this because I wrote the book, but it is extremely powerful and it is extremely positive, and every review so far I've got on it has been raving with positivity. So the first topic I want to get into in today's episode is actually why I think that pro sports, movies, Hollywood can actually be dessert, and doesn't have to be simply just breads and circuses. So as far as I see it, as long as you eat your vegetables first, as long as you get all of your nutrients first, then you can actually add on some dessert in order to enhance your meal.
That makes sense to me.
What the hell am I talking about here? Of course, many of us in the whole truther world are familiar with the phrase pro sports are breads and circuses. They're essentially used as a way of distracting the public from what's really going on and from actually taking ownership over their lives. And of course, is that true to an extent? Yes. But I also believe sports actually have the power to bring so many people together. And I actually have a story about this, which I'm going to reference in a little bit. I've had plenty of people ask me, why is it me as a truther, being someone who knows about all these dark energies that are often used on us, why am I still even talking about pro sports?
How can you not be romantic about baseball?
Why am I even bringing up debates in pro sports and talking about the stories of athletes? So first off, me being a lifelong athlete, I know all of the life lessons that sports teach us, whether it be about overcoming adversity, whether it be getting up after every time you fall, whether it be putting it all together and learning how to win as a team, and also even watching pro sports has a lot of power to bring people together. Bring people of all different backgrounds together to cheer for the same common goal.
Who do you want to win?
The goddamn Jets.
And to illustrate this point, recently, I want to say a week ago, at my house, we had several people who all had various different opinions on politics and various different opinions on what's going on in the world. But meanwhile, all of us sat down to watch a game, and all of us were talking, everyone was in harmony, and most of us were actually cheering for the same team. And when that team won, we were all high-fiving each other, everyone was so happy, and it brought about this positive energy, and it reminds us how, even if all of us do have different opinions, even if all of us do have different views on politics, it doesn't mean we can't find commonalities in our lives, and we can't find things that actually unite us more than divide us. Because as we all know by now, the mainstream media is set on dividing and conquering us. The government is set on dividing and conquering us. Because if we're all constantly at odds with each other, we're not going to be able to focus on the people who are actually controlling the puppets and who are actually pitting us against each other. But it's things like pro sports that actually have the power to bring us together. And this is why, of course, they're always going to try so hard to bring in Marxist agendas into pro sports.
Look, you take that commie crap out to the street.
And politics as a way of dividing us from this powerful thing that has the power to bring us together. And also, like, I want to say 2 years ago, I actually went to a Mets-Yankees game where both teams, of course, are supposed to be rivals and fans on both sides are supposed to hate each other. I've always been a Yankees fan my whole life, but like, I would actually consider the Mets to be my second favorite team. But like, having said that, at this game, all the fans were actually totally in good nature. Of course, there was a lot of back and forth, jabbing at the other fans, but like, at the end of the game, everyone was high-fiving, everyone was smiling. But this also brings me into, there's a difference between being a fan versus a fanatic.
Well, you gotta support your team, huh?
Okay, ready to go?
Yeah.
Let's get it on!
So like, being a good-hearted fan, being someone who just enjoys watching or going to a good ball game, interacting with some other awesome down-to-earth people, as opposed to the guy who gets violent at anyone who disagrees with his team. Or of course, we also have plenty of people who know more about athletes and more about Hollywood people and more about celebrities than like they actually do when it comes to their own lives and the lives of their friends. So like, of course, are there people out there who are going to spend more money on the athletes and the celebrities than like they're going to investing into their own dreams? Of course. And that's where you have like the whole breads and circuses thing. But like, what if we could actually use this responsibly and could use it like to actually enhance our lives? As a way of taking a break from all the politics, as a way of taking a break from all the seriousness of the world. This is like the whole reason why I actually enjoy covering sports on this channel every so often. And this is also why I like being well versed on a variety of different topics. Of course, doing that like helps my podcast a lot, and like it helps my podcasting skills a lot whenever I have like guests on. But furthermore, it also helps me to relate to people in general. Because if I'm only talking about serious topics,
Hurricane RuPaul, which is working his or her way up the coast.
It's raining sideways!
Sounds rough, Ollie.
if everything has to be like truther, deep dive rabbit hole, how many people am I actually going to be able to reach that way? Not as many as if I can actually bring people together to talk about a sports topic, to talk about Michael Jordan or LeBron James, talk about Shohei Ohtani's historic season. And I believe that like, if I'm able to bring people together to talk about some of these more lighthearted topics that don't have like a huge impact on our lives, I think I'm actually going to be able to bring people together and bring in more people who are going to be interested in hearing about the more serious topics. And at the very least, I have people who feel comfortable relating to me and seeing that like I'm not just like this robot who's only focused on the darkness in the world and who's only focused on every satanic agenda. And lastly, of course, am I aware that like certain games might be rigged, as I've spoken about in the past? Yes, but like I'm also like someone who doesn't think like every single game is rigged, and like I definitely don't think like every single moment in sports is scripted. I think like that would actually be like almost impossible to do, to get every athlete to follow a script for every single game. I don't think like that actually makes a whole lot of sense. I think if anything, the controllers and the Parasite class are more concerned with the bread and circus idea, like, and like of using sports to like aim distraction as opposed like, to scripting every moment. I mean, hey, I could be wrong. I'm all for questioning everything, but I have yet to see anyone actually use numerology to predict outcomes of games accurately before they happen. And like, I've actually seen plenty of people try to do this and get several of the games wrong, and then like try to justify it and try to use like all these mental gymnastics. And as I said, like, I do think that like moments in sports might be scripted here and there. And hey, I could be wrong, but like, I'm still gonna watch pro sports because as an athlete, I love watching the best of the best compete in these sports. And as a result, like, I think that like, we can actually turn the tables on them, on the people who solely want this to be like a bread and circus distraction, and we can use these things to like unite us.
We are workers united!
I'm not into like this whole black pill mindset, which is saying that like everything is all dark, it's all satanic, it's all using our energy, so like we can't enjoy anything that's in the culture. It's all evil, because even though like there might be like the intent behind it, that doesn't have to become our reality. The next topic I want to dive into in today's episode is the totally made up topic of weather modification. I mean, why have all these bills been passed in certain states banning chemtrails, banning these imaginary things? I mean, has anyone looked up and seen these lines in the sky? Remember, those are contrails, those are not real. Well, I have 2 videos to share with you guys. Both are from Luke Wojtkowski's Twitter. Awesome guy. Posts a lot of great, truthful stuff. First one.
Now we're learning that scientists and researchers are looking at how to change the weather on purpose. That's right. lasers now could one day manipulate rain and lightning. CBS This Morning contributor Michio Kaku is a physics professor at City College of New York. Professor, nice to see you. Extraordinary seeing Al Gore and Bill Clinton there together with Charlie, wasn't it?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, they did not get into this discussion, though. But it is fascinating. I mean, lasers, really, to change the weather?
That's right. Well, as Mark Twain once famously said, everyone complains about the weather, but no one ever does anything about it. Well, instead of doing a rain dance, we physicists are firing trillion-watt lasers into the sky to actually precipitate rain clouds and actually bring down lightning bolts. This is potentially a game changer.
But this is experimental.
It's experimental. However, in the laboratory so far it works. When you have water vapor and you have dust particles or ice crystals, you can precipitate rain. It condenses around the seeds. These seeds can also be created by laser beams. By firing trillion-watt lasers, you rip apart the electrons, creating what are called ions, and these ions act like seeds, like dust particles, bringing down rain and even lightning.
Go ahead.
Well, this fascinates me in part because, too, I remember reading the stories that China had used this during the Olympics, that the USSR had used this after Chernobyl to create rain clouds. I mean, did those really work then? We have some of these capabilities now?
Inconclusive. Even in the 60s, the CIA used this to bring down monsoons during the Vietnam War, to wash out the Viet Cong. Governments have been playing with this thing.
Alleged to.
Alleged to, right.
Yeah.
Now, we realize that for decades now, these governments have been alleged to have experimented with weather control, but nothing conclusive. This time we're bringing in the laws of physics rather than simply waving our hands and uttering mumbo jumbo. We're actually using trillion-watt lasers now. And in the laboratory, sure enough, they precipitate rain out of water vapor. Sure enough, you can actually bring down electricity down the beam.
So what does it mean for drought areas that need to have rain for crops? And if they don't have them, there's the consequences of famine.
Well, the bad news is if it's a clear blue sky, it's not going to do anything at all because it only takes water vapor that's already in the air and condenses it. However, for floods, for agriculture, farmers, for people planning wedding parties, football games, you name it, outdoor events and agriculture and flooding and even hurricanes, all of them could be subject to weather modification.
Incredibly interesting.
But remember, this is totally made up. It's total conspiracy. Now, why is it like within the past few weeks, we've had two very serious hurricanes that have like wiped out thousands of people as well as acres upon acres of land. And then meanwhile, why is BlackRock buying up lithium in North Carolina? And like, if this thing is made up, which of course, as we know it is, wink wink, why are there several patents out there for weather modification? Have any of you ever looked into Operation Popeye? Have any of you ever watched Matt Lamon's documentary called Frankenskies? Why is there aluminum particles being found on plants? And also like another Luke Rokowski video.
Is weather modification science fiction or science reality? Lyndon B. Johnson said this in 1962.
Is predicted in the foundation for the development of a weather satellite that will permit man to determine the world's cloud layer and ultimately to control the weather, and he who controls the weather will control the world.
Wow, yeah. There's also Operation Popeye, which of course was carried out by the 54th Weather Reconnaissance Squadron that created the operation using the slogan, "Make mud, not war," during the Vietnam War, where of course they cloud seeded and made it rain in order to bog down their enemies. There's also multiple patents for many decades now detailing attempts to decrease or enlarge or even direct hurricanes. Even CBS News previously discussed using lasers in order to promote weather change.
Scientists and researchers are looking at how to change the weather on purpose. That's right. Lasers now could one day manipulate rain and lightning.
I leave the question to you.
This might be crazy.
So remember, this is coming from CBS. So like, this isn't coming from your favorite conspiracy theorists. This is on the news within the last 20 years, I'm pretty sure. Are they telling us the truth in plain sight? Are they making us think that like, we're crazy for even looking up at the sky and seeing all these trails that are coming from airplanes? Of course we're crazy. Are we?
You're not crazy.
But what can we actually do about this? Is there a solution? There might be. So, if these people are using frequency when it comes to the weather, which, as we know, they're not, but like, this is just like a thought that like I've seen online. And I'm not sure if what we do metaphysically can overcome the things like they're doing physically, but I think it's definitely worth a shot and it's definitely worth something to think about.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
So knowing that like our words, our thoughts, and the earth itself, as well as like the whole Schumann resonance, it all operates on frequencies. So can we undo what they're doing, and can we actually bring coherence to the weather and to the earth through things like prayer, positive thinking, and directing our thoughts and intentions to a healing frequency? Maybe, maybe not, but like I think it's definitely worth thinking about, and like I think it's definitely worth trying out. Next topic I want to get into is I saw an article the other day talking about how Alzheimer's is actually linked to poor gut health. And I can tell you from my own experience as well as all of my own research how important the gut is to our overall health, because the gut is obviously where all of the toxic waste goes and where it all builds up. And like if we're not able like to drain our lymphatic system and to like drain the colon, what ends up happening? All this waste gets reabsorbed into our cells, gets reabsorbed into the gut lining, and like ends up going to all these other places.
I know from experience, dude.
And this could ultimately lead to like brain issues, this could lead to poor thinking, this could lead to depression, this could lead to any number of health issues out there. You name it, the gut is definitely going to be responsible for so much of our health. And like, if you're unable like to clear waste from the gut and from the colon, this is like essentially what leads to the cause or the reasoning behind the various health issues. Toxins, whether they be toxic thoughts, physical toxins, heavy metals, toxins that are like found in our food, our environment, in our medicine. I believe like this totally leads to all of our modern health issues. Like so many scientists out there have been baffled by it and have been confused by it. It's because they're looking at this from a flawed perspective. As far as I see it, this is like why detoxing is so powerful and important, especially these days. It's not about adding more toxins into our lives. It's actually about removing them and then adding back the good stuff.
That makes sense to me.
Because when our own internal terrain is healthy and cleaned up, then our minds can operate from a clear perspective. Our bodies aren't going to be weighed down as much, we're going to have more energy, and you're not going to see all these various health issues popping up out of nowhere. As Antoine Béchamp used to say, as well as Louis Pasteur said on his deathbed, it's the terrain. The germ is nothing, the terrain is everything. But of course, they're all going to try to tell you like it's totally the opposite and like this is all wrong and you just need to keep taking more pills or keep doing more injections. But like, has that actually made us any healthier as a society? I don't think so. And this is why detoxification has made such a positive impact on my own healing journey. When everything else wasn't working, when all the conventional ways weren't working, detoxing and then adding back in all the good stuff has allowed me to make so much progress on my journey. Even though like I'm not fully healed yet, I've made so much progress on my digestion, on my mental health, on all areas of my life as a result of getting rid of the bad and putting back in the good stuff. So like, am I surprised that like Alzheimer's has been linked to gut health? No, I was actually ahead of the curve on this. And furthermore, going along the same lines, is fluoride being dangerous and being a neurotoxin actually this crazy conspiracy? Or are they starting to reveal the truth about it? So as Callie Means posted about on Twitter the other day, the government put fluoride in our water and attacked anyone who questioned it. Now the NIH, after major pressure, has declared that it reduces the IQ of children and is hazardous to human health, and states are removing it from water. This is undercover news. Why do we think like they're not covering this news? Is it because all the crazy conspiracy theorists who've been screaming about this for the past several years, as well as all of us who point out like Nazi Germany was also known for putting fluoride in the water, but then like the whole dental association convinced us like fluoride is actually good for our teeth?
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard.
But like, why is it like on every toothpaste bottle it says do not swallow, and if swallowed, go see poison control? And like, even in these small amounts, don't we think like it's eventually going to add up? And who knew that like if you combine aluminum with fluoride, you end up getting this potent neurotoxin, which could lead to Alzheimer's? Crazy conspiracy? Remember, like, this is for entertainment purposes only. This is pure satire. I'm just joking, but look into it. Now, to finish off this video on a more positive note, as like I'm always trying my best like to interject positivity into all the seriousness of the world, because the power of positive thinking and like the power of positivity is actually always going to be the solution to all the problems, and like it's always going to be the starting place for all of our problems. So like, let's watch the video together, because seeing a teacher like this, I think is gonna restore our faith in humanity.
So this is exactly why I keep a snack cupboard in my classroom. So back during the COVID days, I had a student, and we'll just call him Tommy. And Tommy was a good kid, but he tended to keep to himself a lot. And on this one particular school day, it was a half day. So the kids could still bring their own lunch from home, or they could simply order one from the cafeteria. And when it came time to eat lunch in class, for some reason about 6 to 8 kids changed their mind, and they didn't want their lunch. And I made a last call announcement and said, all right, we got extra lunches, go ahead and grab one if you need one. And Tommy simply got up, casually walked over, and grabbed all of the remaining lunches, again about 6 to 8 of them, and brought them back to his desk. So out of curiosity, I walked over there and said something to the effect of, hey man, are you really that hungry? Without hesitation, he looked at me and said, "No, they're not for me. They're for my younger brothers so they can eat tonight." And I said, "By all means, absolutely, take them all. Do you need anything else?" And he said, "Nope, that should cover it." The day eventually came to a close, and I walked down to our cafeteria where we have some of the best cafeteria staff around, and I told them about what's going on, and they graciously put together some extra meals for Tommy. I also went to the store later that day, and I grabbed a few boxes of granola bars, fruit snacks, goldfish, things like that. And that's when I began to make a stockpile of snacks in a cupboard in my classroom, and I made sure the entire class knew, if you ever need something extra to eat, it's there for you. And yet another lesson that I learned from a child. That was another eye-opening moment for me as a teacher when I realized that not all students are coming to school on the same playing field. I realized to myself, how is it possible that a child's going to learn at a high level and function at a high level in my classroom if they're hungry? And this served as another reminder to myself that as a teacher, I can't make assumptions.
So shout out to Mr. Schutz once again for doing an awesome job at creating a healthy, safe environment for all of his students, and for being a shining example of what's actually good in the world. Because for all of us who are so focused on all the mainstream news, it can be very easy to get caught into the darkness and think the whole world is evil, the whole world is this awful place. But remember, if we could highlight all the positive stories, if we could highlight teachers like this, and if we could actually show people, there are people out there who are still doing good things.
You're a good person.
And who are doing all these selfless acts, then what's going to happen? This is going to inspire more people to do the same. It's going to bring more light into the world. It's going to show us that in spite of everything that's going on the news, and in spite of everything might be wrong in the world, there is still all these great things happening at the exact same time. And I think it's so powerful to focus on these, because the world definitely needs more teachers like this. The impact you could have on others can't be measured in cases like this, because if he does this for this kid, and then he actually shares the story in the social media, 5 more teachers might do the same, or even 5 more random people might be inspired to do something selfless for others, and then you have a whole positive chain reaction. So shout out to Mr. Schutz once again. I'm going to keep highlighting stories like these, because the more of these we have, the more we're actually going to be able to drain out all the negativity that so many of us are seeing on our TVs. Anyways, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys are inspired by it. I hope you guys are truth-seeking yourselves and are critical thinking for yourselves. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. Be sure to drop a like, leave a comment, let me know your thoughts. I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace.